Erebor and Dale were of course key locations during the Battle of the Five Armies and the Hobbit storyline in general. But by the time the key battles in the War of the Ring take place, we hear very little of them or their armies. Many of you will of course know about the Battle of Dale and the Northern Campaign, but what actually happened to them after the war ended? Let's find out.
Build me an army worthy of Mordor.
If any of you are into Middle-earth gaming, including Battle for Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War, Middle-earth strategy battle game, and way more, then you may be interested to know that we are streaming these games over on Twitch, every Tuesday and Friday at 2 PM British Standard Time. We even stream more often if we have the time. We know that many of you used to enjoy our nostalgic playthroughs of older Middle-earth based games, so hopefully you'll enjoy what we do on there. I'll leave a link in the description down below if you're interested. Thanks guys. So let's start with Dale. Dale was a trader town that was located between the southwestern and southeastern arms of the Lonely Mountain. In the year 2590 of the Third Age, King Thror re-established the kingdom under the mountain and it prospered. So much so that the Northmen that were living, somewhat ironically in the south, came up the river and built the town of Dale. Together, the men of Dale and the dwarves of Erebor shared in the prosperity and kept a strong working relationship. As for the Northmen, a few, it is said, fled over the Kelduin, the river running, and were merged with the folk of Dale under Erebor, with whom they were akin. Some took refuge in Gondor, and others were gathered by Marhwini, son of Mahari, who fell in the rearguard action after the Battle of the Plains. Then in 2770, Smaug descended upon the Dwarven Kingdom, and although Dale sent warriors to help their friends, they were not enough to prevent the dragon from killing the dwarves or forcing them to flee. The mighty Smaug then occupied the mountain. He would often come out of the front gates at night and carry people away from Dale to eat. The remaining population in Dale were eventually forced to flee, and the now deserted city fell into ruins. Then, as we all know, the Battle of Five Armies and the death of Smaug happened a couple of hundred years later in 2941. The one responsible for killing the dragon, Bard the Bowman, led the rebuilding of the city. Bard was actually a descendant of Girion, who was one of the last lords of Dale. If you guys would like to know more about Bard, we could create a full video on him, so let us know in the comments down below if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. So Dale was soon prospering once more. Bard founded the Kingdom of Dale and gathered men from Long Lake, the south and the west. Lake Town was also rebuilt and itself grew wealthy from its trading with Dale. Then during the War of the Ring, Dale was now under the reign of King Brand, grandson of Bard. The city of Dale was the capital for the lands in which he ruled over, spanning far east and south past Lake Town. Around the year 3017, messengers from Mordor came to King Brand, asking for information on hobbits. They had forces gathering on Dale's eastern borders, essentially threatening the kingdom into not opposing them should the time come. Sauron had also sent messengers to Erebor. The dwarves of Erebor and the Bardins refused to acknowledge the overlordship and alliance of Sauron, and a host of his allies threatened the borders of King Brand. Then during the War of the Ring, the Easterlings crossed the border and moved to attack the city. Sauron had a large contingent of Easterlings to attack the Kingdom of Dale. King Brand held them at Carnan, but around the 14th of March, they managed to cross and push him back into Dale. The combined forces of men and dwarves under King Dane Ironfoot marched out to meet the Easterlings in battle at the foot of Erebor. The armies fought bravely before the gates of the mountain, which was not taken, but after 3 days of heavy close quarters fighting, on the 17th of March, Brand fell, and then Dane was killed as he stood defending the body of his ally and friend. Not able to hold back the Easterlings, the Bardins and the dwarves of Erebor retreated into the Lonely Mountain. For 7 long days, the men and dwarves barricaded themselves in Erebor until news came from the south of the defeat of Sauron. The new kings of Dale and Erebor, Bard II and Thorin III Stonehelm, broke the siege and drove the Easterlings out of Dale. Bard later sent an emissary to the coronation of King Aragorn, and his realm was ever after in perpetual friendship and under the protection of the King of the West. So as long as Dale lasted, it was under the protection of the king, meaning they were essentially a part of the reunited kingdom of Gondor and Arnor, which realistically was a smart move. If you look at Dale and Erebor on the map, it's pretty much just the mountains of the Iron Hills that stand between them and the vastness of the east, meaning that any threat that did still lurk to the east had a pretty smooth ride to attack them. So by being what is essentially an affiliate kingdom of Gondor and Arnor, they were basically untouchable. Not to mention the trade benefits to help boost the city of Dale even further. Now let's talk briefly about Erebor. I say briefly because, to be honest, a lot of the story is very similar. After Durin's Bane had awoken in Moria, Thrain led a group of dwarves to Erebor. There they dug deep and created caves and great halls to form an underground city. This was around 1999 in the Third Age. There the dwarves mined many great treasures from the mountain, including the Arkenstone. Again, it was due to the increasing prosperity that eventually led to the building of the neighbouring city of Dale. Thrain's son Thorin I abandoned the mountain in 2210 of the Third Age for the Grey Mountains. But after the War of the Dwarves and Dragons in 2590, King Thror led a group back to the Lonely Mountain, re-establishing it as the capital of Durin's folk. As for Erebor during and after the War of the Ring, well, the initial story during the War of the Ring is practically identical, all the way up to the end of the Battle of Dale. After the battle, the dwarves and men continued their friendship, rebuilding Erebor together. Thorin III Stonehelm ruled well into the Fourth Age, and during this time dwarves from the Lonely Mountain helped rebuild cities in Gondor and the fortress of Helm's Deep. Some even went on to take on permanent residence in the new dwarven realm of the Glittering Caves, where Gimli was now lord. Many dwarves came down from the Iron Hills to settle in the Lonely Mountain. Nevertheless, the kingdom of Erebor continued to prosper throughout the Fourth Age, until, just like all other magical races in Middle-earth, the dwarves eventually began to fade. So I guess overall, it's a fairly happy story, almost a happy ever after, but it always brings me down when I think about Middle-earth with no dwarves. So my question for you guys today is this: if you could choose to live in either Erebor or the city of Dale, what would you choose? Great dwarven halls, or a beautiful man-made trade city? Both would have their perks for sure. Okay, time has come as always to thank our patrons. A big shout out goes to the members of the three highest tiers: Kevin, Abram, Matt, Nashith, Denversteel, Gregory, John and Andrew. We can't thank you all enough for the support towards this channel and our short film. If you're interested in supporting yourself, you can do so via our Patreon page. There's a variety of tiers on there that you can choose from. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and go and check out the Tabletop Alliance not only on YouTube but on Twitch as well. Like I said at the start, we are streaming Middle-earth games twice a week, every Tuesday and every Friday, and it's so much fun to interact with you guys on a regular basis, so please go and check that out. I hope you all have a fantastic Christmas and an even better New Year. I will see you all in 2022. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time on The Broken Sword.